Show me the money. You guys want to see real deals. You want to see actual numbers. You want to see the real live Excel that I use to analyze deals. You want to see deals that I've actually done. You want to see the return on investment that I'm getting on a real deal that I did last year. I'm going to walk you guys through an actual deal. A deal in London, Ontario, Canada, a real property that I bought last year. You want to see how I analyze the numbers? You want to see the income statement? Do you want to see the cash flow, the return on investment? Well, let's get to it, because I'm going to walk you guys through a real live deal that I bought last year. Property I bought for $205,000, and we spent $65,000 renovating this property with an all-in cost of around $270,000. So if you're to refinance that at 80% loan to value, which is what I always suggest, your mortgage would be about $216,000. And so you basically have a down payment of $54,000. But what is the income, and how do you know that a property is a good deal? Well, in this case, I knew the cash flow was extremely strong on this property. It was a triplex that didn't have a legal rental license on it, so we had to convert it with the City of London, and so that required an extensive renovation to convert this into a legal triplex, and it became a 4-bedroom unit, 3-bedroom unit, and 1-bedroom loft apartment unit. We bought the property and it was extremely under rented to crackheads, so we had to evict the tenants that were in the property from the beginning. So you can see in Unit 1 here we had $700 a month coming in rent. Unit 2 we had $900 a month in rent coming in. Actually, that's not even true. They didn't pay any rent. We ended up evicting them. They didn't pay us anything for 60 days. They were just terrible tenants, behind on their rent. There was needles everywhere in this unit. It was rough. And then we had a 3-bedroom unit that was rented for $450 a month. Because it was illegal, the landlord was afraid to sign a real lease, so he let someone stay there for $450 a month in cash. We went in, made these units beautiful, evicted the tenants, and really created a quality unit that we could rent for premium dollars. And on the low side, we had certain forecasts, but on the high side, on the target side, we were going for $4,000 a month in rental income. And this is actually what we did. These are the actual real numbers. I hit $750 a month plus utilities, so $750 plus hydro and heat for the upper unit, and then the main unit and the lower unit were on a separate panel, so we had to do those inclusive. So we were bringing in $4,000 a month in rent after only a 4.5 month renovation on this property. Like I say, bought it for $205,000, spent about $65,000 on renovations after we got some energy rebate credits. For things like putting in insulation and new windows. There are programs here in Ontario, Canada, where you get rebates associated with doing those types of renovations. So that helps subsidize some of our cost to improve the property. And it's in a fantastic area, actually. This property was quite run down. We did have to add a parking lot in the back and a few other things, but it was quite run down. There was so much potential in this property. We actually brought this with another deal. So it was a conditional, the offer was conditional on the seller accepting multiple deals at once. So we actually offered less than the next best offer on this property with our bully offer, but we agreed with no conditions to take all of the properties they had for sale on the market. And so they went with our offer over other offers that were sometimes $15,000 and $20,000 higher on the purchase price. So that's how we got a good deal on this property. It was actually a pocket listing MLS. It hit MLS, and within 24 hours, we had locked it up. With a tip that we got as soon as it got listed. We got right on it, saw these properties, and put an offer together in their hands. Had this sat on the market for a full week, and we hadn't have bought all the properties as a package deal, I'm fairly sure that we wouldn't have got the deal that we got on this property. So for those who say you can't find good deals on MLS, you totally can. Not all of my deals have been on the multi-listing service on realtor.ca, but a lot of them that have been good that I've negotiated have come from realtor.ca. Let's get into the actual numbers. So I'm pulling, as you guys can see, the actual rents that I was getting after a few months renovation. We're getting $48,000 annual, so $4,000 a month. And our insurance cost in this property is about $972 a year, and that's because we have a $5,000 deductible. I do believe in keeping your deductible fairly high on your insurance and just keeping a nice cash reserve. Often by making a claim on your insurance rates go up anyway, so I've actually never made a claim on any home or auto insurance or rental property insurance ever. I've just never made a claim. It's there for if a house burns down or something major, a catastrophe happens, right? Because the process is quite arduous. It's just not really a good process I like to go into. So keep our insurance costs down. We're still protected for major downside like a fire or something massive, right? That requires $1 million liability or $2 million liability. Utilities, we're averaging about $350 a month on utility costs on this property because, again, the tenants in the upper unit are paying their own heat and hydro. That helps keep things down a bit. We have a rental license fee in our district that is required by the city if you do things to code properly, if you get fire inspections and whatnot. So that's what that fee's there for. These are the actual property taxes. This property was so run down, the property tax hadn't caught up to the adjusted value that we created on this property. So since the property was so run down, the property taxes were actually quite low on this property, again, adding to a strong, solid amount of cash flow for us. Since we renovated the whole property, our maintenance expense is actually relatively low, guys. Because the property has been, basically the whole thing's brand new, we don't have to worry really about maintaining so much. Because everything's brand new, less is going to break, right? When you have a new roof on, you're going to want to amortize that, but you're not really going to have as many expenses for roofing expenses, right? For instance, you can see with a mortgage that our mortgage principal pay down is about $315 a month on that payment, and the mortgage interest is about $450 a month on the all-in cost, including the renovation at 80% loan to value. So what you get is a total cost of $18,733.02 on $48,000 gross. Yes. This isn't a fantastic deal. This is a bit of a unicorn. Probably one of the better 5 deals I've ever done. Probably my top 5 properties we've ever purchased. Our net cash flow, our net benefit, let's call it, that net benefit includes mortgage paydown. So I like to include mortgage paydown because it is money that's going into your pocket each and every month, regardless of appreciation. So you're bringing in roughly $2,753.92. You can buy 2 of these properties and be financially independent in London, Ontario. I know people that have a couple of properties and they are entirely financially independent, only 2 or 3 properties. So 2 or 3 unicorn properties like this can really set you up and you'd be in a really great position. You might ask, well, Mike, why did you sell? At that time I was going through a lot of stress, and so we decided, my joint venture partner and I this one I actually joint ventured with someone. We both did very well. The market was such that things, triplexes in that area were really being valued quite well. And so we put it out there and we got $435,000 on sale. Bought it for $205,000, as you guys remember. This is in a 7-month period. So we're not talking market appreciation, we're talking forced appreciation. We took a property that was single family and converted it to a triplex. So we created a ton of extra value. And the cap rates, based on the new incomes we were getting, created an entirely different valuation for the property and created a ton of increased what I call forced equity, forced appreciation. So we bought smart, did a bunch of smart renovations, really put the dollars to work here, and we got a sale price net of commissions and closing costs about $425,000. So $435,000, about $10,000 in closing costs. That gives us a net profit in 7 months of $155,000, right? And this is ballpark, right? I got to go through the actual renovation budget and see exactly where it is, but in that range. Plus we were getting while we were having it rented and it was for sale for, I think, from August onwards right till December, we were getting another about $2,700 a month in benefit just from holding this property and rental income. So I'm gonna show you guys the real numbers, because this is what I look at when I'm deciding if I want to buy a property. First thing is the payback years and the return on investment. And I use my down payment plus any renovation costs to determine what my return on investment equation is. So 61.2%. That's zero appreciation. That's if I buy this property at $205 and it's worth $205, which is not the case. Obviously, we've done multifaceted approach to building wealth. In this case, 61%. Can you imagine putting your money down on a rental property, managing yourself, and making 61% return on investment? That's what real estate can provide you if you are really smart about it, right? I typically look for, this was a real sweetheart deal. I look for minimum 25% return on my cash down payment. I want 25%. That means I get my down payment back in about 3.5 years typically. So I want my full down payment back in 3.5 years. I want to own this property with 0 of my own money. So I'm getting checks for nothing, none of my own capital. I got all of it back in 3.5 years. If the property burns down tomorrow, there's none of my own money in it. I've all refinanced all of that out, and I'm owning a property free, basically with free, no money at all. So that's the ideal case scenario. And that's why I look for a payback of around 2-3 years. In this case, we had a payback of 1.6 years, plus we got all that equity. In about 6 months, we had tripled our money. You guys can see down here just how I calculated that. The forced appreciation was 287% return on investment. Again, a really, really good deal. Probably one of the best deals I've ever done. That's why I'm showcasing it to you guys, to show you what's possible in real estate investing once you've kind of built up that momentum and you have those connections in the market. And so anyway, and cash flow return on investment of 61%. That's 348% in less than a year, in about 8 months time period. That's insane. That's intense. That is the way you build wealth. If I had done this on every single deal, I'd be a decamillionaire today. You know, obviously every deal hasn't been this great, but again, how do you compare this to the S&P 500 where you're averaging 7 or 8% over the long period of time? Real estate using leverage, that's the key piece, because without leverage, just the cash, if you bought this fully in cash, was not as good of a return. Still actually a fantastic return on this property, but not as good of a return. So leverage really can allow you to build wealth. Use other people's money, and ideally you borrow that cheaply using cheap debt to really crank out your returns. Because if you look at the cap rate in this property, let's say it's about a 15 cap rate, the price I bought it for, 15 to 17 cap rate, depending how you calculate your expenses. You know, if you take leverage, you can take that and obviously 4 times your rate of return on your total asset, right? So that's where leverage really makes a deal just super, super sweet. If we were to continue to hold this deal, we could expect about a 3% appreciation each and every year. And it's actually a bad calculation. I just noticed it's calculating on the price, my all-in cost, not at market value. In fact, it would be growing 3% on the 435,000 market value. So really, in essence, we're going to have, as you guys can see, a really solid, you know, if we had held this, you know, another probably $12,000 or $15,000 a year in appreciation, just keeping at 3%. If we see like what we saw last year, a 10 or 12% growth, we get even better appreciation on our down payment. So real estate can be an awesome thing. Some points to mention: you got to figure in your taxes as well. What is your tax rate on your corporation or your personal holdings? You know, what is your vacancy rate? In my market, it's almost nothing right now. There are so many renters. If you put an ad out, you know, it's a landlord's market, and that you'll get 20 or 30 applications, people begging to rent this property from you, so you can kind of set and dictate the terms. I also, last year, I was able to get interest rates that are much better on a 2 or 3 or 4 year fixed. I was getting 2.3, 2.2, 2.4% fixed rate of interest. And that's just the market and climate in Canada. If you use sites like ratespy.com, you can see all the competitive rates from different brokers, and you can use that to compete against each other. Don't just take the bank's posted rates. You can always get better than those rates if you know how to look. So yeah, this was a solid deal. This one, if I saw this in the wild, I would buy this all day long. I'm going to give you guys on the next video, check it out. I'm going to leave a link to it right now, of how I analyze a property. I'm going to go through a fresh property. I'm just going to pick one off the MLS and run right through this template that I just created. And I apologize, it's a bit crude here, guys. It's just something I kind of made up myself. I'm an Excel junkie, and I just kind of, this is the one that I've used. I have another template that I use also to calculate forced depreciation and ARV, after renovated value on a property. But this is sort of my cash flow template. And if it meets basic metrics like 25% return on investment, I am all over this property. I'll often put an offer on it, you know. It obviously depends on the location and other factors as well. The worse the location, the better the cash on cash ROI, but the worse the appreciation and the worse the quality and caliber of the tenant that you're going to be dealing with. So there you guys go. If you guys enjoyed this video, please let me know. Please slam that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell to get more video, to get notified when I release more videos. And let me know in the comments, really, what are you guys thinking? Do you want to see more of this? Do you want to see really me dive into the numbers and explain to you just how you can get your own first deal? So check out that new video I'm going to be putting up at the end of this video. There'll be a link to that video where I go through a random deal on the MLS, just how I look at a property and what my thoughts are. So please let me know. As always, guys, remember, spend less, earn more, and maximize your returns to unlock a wealthier you. Those are the 3 levers you have to play with. That's all there is. You master those 3 levers, you will become wealthy $1 at a time.